Illegal immigration is starting to affect the Texas agriculture industry. Some farmers say their workers are too scared to show up for work. Fox 4's Casey Stegall spoke with the Texas Agriculture Commissioner about the recent immigration raids. Casey.
Hey, Steve, good to see you. The state Republican Agriculture Commissioner tells me that the stepped up immigration enforcement is taking a toll on the industry, not just here in Texas, but beyond, while federal immigration authorities say they're only doing their jobs. Just 40 miles or so south of the Dallas hustle and bustle,
row crops, hay production,
sits Lee Calvert's 2,000-acre Ellis County family farm.
My father helps me. Obviously, my little sister helps. My wife, huge help. I've got 3 sons, and they're coming along and doing what they can.
Calvert knows he's lucky not having to rely on farm hands to check the chores off, because those who do say absenteeism among hired migrant help has disrupted their entire operations.
They hear that ICE is coming, or they see somebody from INS roll up. Well, they just don't show up. They're scared to come to work.
Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller tells Fox 4 dairy farmers have been hit the hardest.
But on a dairy, those cows, they never stay milked. You milk them 3 times in a 24-hour period. So if the crew doesn't show up, these dairymen go into panic mode.
Are you a U.S. citizen? Do you have documents to be here?
Recent video posted to immigration rights groups' social media channels shows federal agents conducting raids on California farms. President Trump in the last week briefly paused this type of enforcement within a handful of economic sectors which rely heavily on migrant labor, like agriculture. Then it was back to business.
We're enforcing everywhere. In other words, the president has said if you are an illegal immigrant into this country, you ought to voluntarily go back and come through the proper channel.
Like Lee Calvert agree there's no place in America for migrants with violent criminal backgrounds, but wishes there was more gray area.
And I think there needs to be a distinction made in a pathway for the people that do want to come here, obey our laws, integrate into our societies.
News out of Texas. But folks, these are alarm bells ringing for the entire United States, and our government is not listening. Overnight, multiple farms in the state of Texas completely shut down. And the reason for this shutdown was because they have lost almost 100% of their workforce. Now, we know this is the result of the immigration raids and stricter enforcement, but the ripple effect is going to be felt all the way across this country. Now, you've got crops that are rotting in the fields. You have livestock that is not being attended to at all, and that takes a lot of personnel. And we're talking, so now we're getting every area of food to include meat. And the communities that surround these farms, those businesses and those people who depend on the income from these farms, it's creating disasters for small communities in Texas.
Welcome back, guys. Hope you're having a wonderful day today. Now, today we go into these stories about Texas farms shutting down. Have you heard the news? We're in a crisis right now. Yeah. These deportations have left them high and dry. And they've had some shutdowns because they couldn't milk and they couldn't pick in a timely manner because labor is short and the problems have arisen. Do you hear that? Let's get into these videos. Let's get to it.
Many Americans say that you are a criminal for being here without documentation. What do you say to that?
No podemos ser un criminal.
No, we couldn't be criminals. We know that we arrived without status, but a hardworking person who works in the field and puts vegetables on your table can't be a criminal.
What do you want the rest of America to know about you and others who work in agriculture, may not have their papers, but are going out there every day and working?
They should know that despite the risk we run of being detained by ICE, we keep going to work out of necessity.
We are here at the FAFO stage. This is really bad. And if you appreciate my content, please engage with this video. I'm just going to read this to you. Multiple Texas farms shut down after almost 100% of workforce vanishes overnight. In a stunningly swift overnight change, some Texas farm operations had to shut down after losing virtually all of their workforce, an exodus triggered by the increase in immigration raids and increased enforcement. The ripple effects of these raids are the gift that keeps on giving and will be felt nationwide. Unpicked crops are now left unharvested. Livestock were left untended, and rural economies are on edge. The story isn't just a tale of woe for Texas farms, it's a warning for American agribusiness, food prices, and communities that keep food on our plates. I need you to share this with every Republican you know. And you don't even need to wait for their response. They just need to know what's happening. And this is part of my line of work. I deal with commercial farmers, including these small farmers, as clients, and I cannot tell you how this is the beginning of the complete collapse of our economy under this Project 2025 administration that doesn't know what they're doing. You talk about the immediate shuttering of farms, because this is actually what's happening with the food, with the harvests that are lying there completely rotting. That is a loss of food to local food distributors, local grocery stores, local restaurants, hospitals. They sell their harvest, all sorts of vegetables, to businesses within the state of Texas. This is where you can go into your local grocery store and now you're going to see hardly any vegetables or fruit, depending on what they're growing, or a shortage of meat. This is what's going to happen. Now, all of the other industries that support farming, you've got local pesticide, herbicide, fertilizer suppliers that are just, their sales are going to plummet. These farmers aren't going to be purchasing that. You've got H-2A workers who are now gone, migrant workers who are now gone. They were paying taxes. Even if they didn't have social security numbers, they were given tax numbers, tax ID numbers. So now you got millions of dollars just poof, gone overnight from these Texas communities. You've got trucking companies that are hired.
It's happening across Texas. Family farms are shutting down, not from drought, not from laziness, but because there ain't nobody left to work the land. Why? Because the labor force, the very people who showed up every day to pick, plant, harvest, bust a sweat, have been deported. These weren't criminals. These was the regular, the quiet, early rising backbone of the farm type workers. And now they gone. And without them, the fields are silent. The tractors are parked. Ain't no walking them crop lines but some crickets. Because the crops are dying on the vine. Multiple Texas farms folded this week. Not because the land gave out, but because Washington did. Mass crackdowns, overnight deportation, pop-ups and surprises, random stops, and no plan. We're not talking about big corporations. We're talking about families, about heritage farms. People who've been feeding America for generations. Now bankrupt, broken, bamboozled, got a closed sign on the fence by a policy that never stopped to count the cost. You don't get to secure the border without a plan for who's going to harvest the food. This is a real crisis right now. You don't get to applaud crackdowns without having a backup plan. This is the fallout. Farmers are desperate. Food supply chains are cracking, and America's waking up too late. Let me say something. We need to secure borders, but we also need common sense to go through some brains. You can't deport the workforce and then act surprised when the farm collapses. I said it like 5 times already. Gosh. We need a policy with a backbone and a heart. And until we fix this, until we find a way to support legal, reliable labor on our farms, you better get ready for $10 tomatoes and bare shelves. Because Texas is failing. And if Texas falls, the rest of the country won't be far behind. Who gonna take on the load? Who taking on Texas load? With a shortage. Keep your eyes open. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. We did hit over 1,000 subs. And I want to thank you. I will make a video about that. I appreciate y'all continuing to rock with me, and I will talk to you next time. Next video, I'm out.
If you are a believer, you're born again, you are called to be a watchman or watchwoman or watch person, doesn't matter. So it means you are someone who's to behold, to look up. You're called to be one who waits on the Lord.